I wanted to go over just a few things that have come up again and again in the first two papers that you've written, and just make sure that before you write your final paper, before you submit it, that we have at least addressed them on some level and you have an opportunity to go back and correct those things. So, before you submit your final proposals, a couple of things. Topics. You're not supposed to switch your topic. At the very beginning of the semester, you were asked to choose a topic from one of those two approved lists, which means either UN Global Issues or the Grand Design Challenges for Engineering. You are to stay within that broad topic. You could hone, you could narrow the focus, but you could not just switch your topic. Okay? Some of you are gotten in the habit of asking questions throughout the body paragraphs of your papers. This is a filler and a waste of time. You need to take an authoritative stand. It's fine to ask a question in the intro to kind of pique interest a little bit in your reader. Beyond that, don't use it. Don't ask me why this might happen. Tell me why it's happening. Your job is to convince the reader of something, not to pose questions to the reader, especially not in those body paragraphs. So make sure that if you have questions in the body, just turn them into statements of fact. Take an authoritative stand, make your claims, back them up, support them, explain them, and you'll be all right. Show, don't tell. So some of you occasionally say things like, in this paragraph, I'm about to do this. Don't tell me that. Just do it. Same thing is true in your introduction. Don't tell me, in this paper, I will explore the following things. Just do it. Set it up. Give me a good, clear thesis statement. I'll understand that that's what you're planning to do, is prove that thesis statement. When you have a good topic sentence for your body paragraphs, I know that that's what you're about to prove in there. So don't tell me what you're about to do. Do it. Direct quotes. For a few of you, this is a huge problem. For all of you, you do it to some extent. There's really only two reasons to use a direct quote. And outside of that, you should just avoid direct quotes entirely. So if you're going to direct quote, one, if you're presenting a point that supports you directly. So you've made a claim and here's an author of a text saying something that basically completely backs up what you've said, then okay, leave it in a direct quote. Or if you want to say that this person says this, however they miss these topics, or what they fail to recognize are these aspects of the issue, so you can push back against a direct quote. The only other time is if it's so perfectly stated that something would be lost by paraphrasing it. Otherwise, paraphrase it. If you are going to quote the least amount possible. If there's a phrase that's perfect, then use the phrase. Don't use the whole sentence. And by God, don't use multiple sentences. So some of you are just stringing quotes together. Research is about your ideas. It's about your argument, not just repeating and copying and pasting things from other sources. So keep that in mind when you get ready to quote a source directly. Another thing is, if you do copy a quote from another source and you put it into your paper, make sure that it matches the font size and all that. So, I mean, your entire paper should be in the same font, 12 point, a normal font style, nothing weird, and double spaced all the way throughout. No extra spaces, no subheadings, none of that should be in there. Okay, dropped quotes. This is when you begin a sentence with an open quote and you end that sentence with a closed quote, and then documentation. You need to introduce your source. Tell me who the author is, tell me what the article it was that you're quoting from, then go into the quote if you're going to use a quote. But again, as I said previously, avoid quotes if at all possible. Point after spacing. Some of you still have it, most of you have gotten rid of it. If you hit enter or return and you end up with an extra space, you have point after spacing. I'll post a announcement that will give you more information on both the dropped quotes and the point after spacing so that you can look into that. If I've marked it, know that I need you to go ahead and fix that and make sure it's not in your final paper. The last few things, one, page count and source use matters. It says 6 to 8 pages, shoot for 7. If you're at 4.5 pages, you've not met the requirements. It is important. I am required to assign you a minimum of 20 pages of writing. And if you look at the minimum requirements for each of these assignments and add those up, you'll see that it comes up to 20 pages. That's per the college for this class. It's a research class. It's a writing heavy class. Page count matters. So does the source use. As a general rule, you want at least two sources per page used. So in 6 to 8, I say at least 12 plus. I think on this final one, it actually says 14 on the prompt sheet. It says 14 because 7 is the goal, right? As far as your works cited goes, if you cite it in the text, if I see the parenthetical documentation or you reference the author in the text, I should see it on your works cited. The inverse is also true. If it's on your works cited and it's not in the text, it shouldn't be. So if you don't actually cite the source, just because you looked at it or you read it, if you don't actually cite it in the paper, don't list it on the works cited. Okay? One kind of final thing, just as you think through and as you're working on these final papers, keep in mind that this is your proposal, not someone else's. Your argument should be central. That's the whole purpose of research, is so that you can tell me what it is that you have to say. Don't get conversational. Don't use I believe, I think, I feel, any of those types of things. Stick to an authoritative academic stance. But these are just some of the things that have come up again and again, and I want to make just a short video just to kind of highlight these are things I need you to avoid in this final paper. All right, thank you.